Hi, y'all. I'm Remy Le Guin, and I want to share a funny story with you. Recently I dated somebody. He was kind of handsome. I saw his profile online, and I was like, all right, I'll swipe. So we get to the restaurant, and he walks up, and I was like, hey, it's nice to meet you. And he goes, oh my gosh, it is so good to see you again. We've never done this before, guy. I've never met you before in my life. And he he knew things about me from a time in my life when I was stationed here in San Antonio before that he wouldn't have known if we hadn't dated before. And so I tell you this, yeah, I didn't get a second date with this gentleman, by the way. I didn't, or a third date, fourth date, I don't know. Evidently, we dated, and I had no recollection of it. So I tell you that story to tell you this story. So when I was stationed here in San Antonio, I was going through a mental breakdown from stress. And I was going through it for about 2 months before anyone actually even knew, because I was bearing it silently and I wasn't letting anyone know because I thought that's what strong women do. You know, we get stressed out. That's what happens, right? And strong women, we soldier on, we just push through it. We smile on the outside. And at that time, I realized through, I went and sought mental health, and she let me know, no, listen, your memory is being affected right now. Your health is being affected right now. You are experiencing what we call in the biz a mental breakdown. And it was 2 months before I sought that help. And it was because of a friend who basically forced herself into my house and was like, something is going on with you. You need to go get seen. Like, you aren't yourself. You haven't come out at all. Like, let's go. And thank God for that friend because without her, I probably would have stayed stuck battling my stress. And at that point, I realized that I couldn't battle my stress. And I want to make that point with you because it's not about battling your stress. It's about turning your stress into an ally. And that's what I help women do. So I help women to turn their stress into their personal allies and turn it into stepping stones to get to where they want to be. So we do that in 4 different ways. So the first step in this whole path is to identify the root triggers. So a root trigger is basically just a stressor. And it has to be really specific. It can't just be, my boss stresses me out. Well, a lot of people's bosses stress them out. What specifically stresses you out about your boss? Is it that your boss gives you unrealistic deadlines, or is it that your boss is sexually harassing you? Like, those are two very different stressors, right? So list out the triggers. Then you want to find the value that's connected to that trigger. So really, when you think about stress, I want you to think about it in a different way. So we normally think about stress as a really bad thing, and that's just perpetuating that toxic stress cycle. So stress in and of itself is not a bad thing. Stress is actually an ally. It's a friend. It's coming in and it's just saying, "Hey, you know what? One of your values is under attack. I just wanted you to know." But unfortunately it speaks really loud, right? So sometimes, and then it brings in all of its other stress friends and we're like, oh, I can't take it. So identify the value that that stress is alerting you to. So if your husband is stressing you out, well, let's say your husband doesn't do the dishes and just leaves his dishes everywhere, all over the living room, on the table, and doesn't help. Well, why does that stress you out? Is it because you hate doing dishes? Or is it more like you value quality time with your family and you feel like when you're doing the dishes, you don't get that quality time? So identify the value that's behind it. And that's step 2. Really recognize the value that's under attack because stress is just telling you there's a value and it's under attack, okay? Now, step 3 is more about aligning your environment and having a powerful conversation. So typically when we're stressed out, our conversations end up sounding like complaints. So when we say to our husband, why don't you ever do the dishes? Or could you please do the dishes? It's not really a powerful conversation. It's more of a complaint or requests like that. A powerful conversation is, I really would love to spend more quality time with the family. And would you mind if we rotated doing the dishes so that you and I could both have some quality time with the family, and then we would have more quality time with each other? Wink, wink. I don't know a man alive who would say no to that. So it's more about a powerful conversation because it's coming from a place of value and not from a place of stress. So that's step 1, 2, 3. Now, step 4 is actually coming up with plans. So your plan A is going to be best case scenario. Best case scenario is, you have this powerful conversation and everything you wanted to happen happens. That's great. But plan B, well, not everything happened the way you wanted it to, or nothing changes, right? Plan B is worst case scenario. Now, I'm going to give you a little hint about control, and I talk about this a lot more in my free stress detox course. But you cannot control anything but you. I'm going to say that again. You can't control anything but you. So you can control you and get you to a place where you're okay with any answer, where you're okay with accepting any outcome. So in the instance of, your boss having unreasonable deadlines, you can get you to a position where if you say no to your boss when, he tries to pile something else on your desk, or she says, I want this done by Tuesday or else, you get you to a place where you saying no and her saying, okay, well then you're fired. That's the better outcome than saying yes. So I hope that makes sense. You don't get to control other people. That's completely unrealistic. Like even your kids, once they're able to speak, basically, you don't get to control them anymore. You get to sort of guide them. But you only get to control you. So step 4 is really about having your action plan in place so that you are able to gracefully move through whatever eventual outcome is going to happen as a result of your powerful conversation. So I hope that helps you out. Again, I offer a free stress detox course. It comes with a very helpful workbook full of all sorts of examples. Just go to coachremy.com and you'll see it right there on my homepage. Take care. Blessings. Bye.